Hey guys, it's Dan here with another beat making video tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create a Kid Ink type beat. This beat is called Day and Night and it's available on my website. This is a different Kid Ink type beat than the kind of synonymous kind of DJ Mustard kind of pop rap beats that he makes. This is more like similar to his tracks like Ghost, those kind of dark, kind of seedy trap type beats. So I won't kind of ramble on about it. That's the kind of sound that I was trying to create. I was trying to create something different with the drums as well, and I'll show you what I used and what sounds I used to create the beat. So the BPM is at 106, and we'll just listen to the intro. Okay, you heard what was in the intro there, and it's kind of a darker kind of beat than usually what I usually make. But these are the kind of beats that I do like to make. I'll just kind of show you what instrument I use. So we have these three sounds here, okay, and they're basically the intro. And you can hear something like a dark saw-toothed bass, and then you can hear these kind of two arps in the background. So we'll just listen to the bass sound on its own first. And we can see that it's a bass sweep. It's got distortion on the bass. Sorry guys, 1 sec. Okay, and then we'll just pause it there. And I'll just go into the mix. You can see my EQ on it there. I've cut off loads of the low end because I'm bringing in 808s and the kick drum later on. I don't really need it, but I'm cut a lot. I kind of want a lot of that mid section in the mix. We'll just go into the bass. I'll show you what bass guitar I used. And it's just a bass patch within Logic or within Sylenth. It's got the chorus on it, it's got an EQ and a compression on it, and basically that's it. I just picked that sound because it was kind of dark and seedy. Just show you the MIDI, and to create the notes, all I did was just kind of make it on the keyboard, just kind of tinkered around until I came up with this kind of chord progression, and just made it simple. I'll just play it. And you can hear that, what it's doing there. And 1 sec now, I'll just get rid of these windows. And that's just the start of that bass line. And then two other instruments come in, this kind of pop clicks kind of come in. And again, I just picked an arp within some of the banks that I have within Sylenth. And this is a patch, it's got an arpeggiator on, and it's got some compression, reverb, etc. on there. And you can hear the kind of weird sound that it actually makes. 1 sec now. 1 second, I'll just click that again. Well, that's the bass sweep. Okay. 1 sec now. And we'll click on that one. We'll find it. And you can hear the sound that it creates. It's kind of just an arp sound. It's not really complicated, but it's just a busy sound to kind of keep the mix moving. I'll just play it on its own, and I'll show you what kind of MIDI notes that I used. Again, heavy on the EQ again, cut off a lot of the lows, and then kind of tinkered with the mix just to kind of make it stick out. You can see that I'm only pressing one note here. I'm pressing C3. That's the only note that I wanted, because it just kind of creates the effect that I wanted. That's all it really is. It isn't really a melody, really. It's just an effect in it. That's all it's really doing in the mix. It's not really doing anything else. and it just kind of keeps that song moving. So I'll just kind of play these two together. And then I bring in the next one. It's a very weird art, if I have to be honest. It's kind of it's really hard to explain. It's kind of like an arp that that has a weird kind of noise to it as well. I'll just play it. Again, it's just creating an effect for me. This is within Sylenth. It's just creating an effect. It's just copying what that previous effect was doing too. It's only pressing one note, but together they're all. I remember stressing this like 100 times before. Picking your sounds is everything, because I won't complete a beat unless I pick the right sounds. And you can hear what happens when all three of them are together. They just really complement each other. And I kind of just messed around with the EQ in this one as well, with this kind of sound as well. And you can see that I peaked it a bit, just pushed it up to make it cut through the mix, cut off the lows, cut off some of the highs. And it's a lot of mid-section there in that song, in that kind of section of that beat. And then there's a pad sound that kind of comes in as well. I'll just play that pad sound on its own, so you get to hear it. And the pad sound is here. And we'll just play it. And they're basically playing some notes that just kind of accentuate the pad, or kind of accentuate or kind of keep the song busy. It doesn't kind of keep the song quiet, but it doesn't have too much sounds in it that it's going to take away from what the rapper has to rap over to. And second now. That's just a basic pad within Sylenth. It's got some effects on it as well. I'll just show you what it sounds like. And that's the EQ I've done on it. And a second, and we'll just pause that there. Okay, and that's really the intro of the beat. And we kind of really haven't really done much, but it does sound busy. I think it sounds better when all the kind of other sounds come in. And look, you can see there's a lot more drums in this. Now this is kind of the minimalistic kind of view of the trap beats, or the whatever you call them, trap beats, electro hip hop. This is more to the trap kind of music side, where it's kind of dark, but it's got a lot more busy kind of perks, snares, etc. And I'll just play the intro or the verse first. And I think I had a similar loop that gave me the inspiration to create this kind of drums. I think I found a loop somewhere in a drum pack that I had, and I had a drum pattern similar to this. Again, I didn't really like using the loop because it kind of constricted me to where I could cut stuff out or make stuff come in certain areas, and I couldn't really control in each individual sound within that loop. So if I wanted to just mute the hi-hats, I couldn't do that. So that's why I don't really sample that much or kind of use loops, because I kind of find that it restricts me. But I did like the movement of that kind of, it has this kind of rigid movement in a kind of a trap kind of style. I'll just play all the drums on its own and just let you listen to them on their own. And we can see it kind of has this robotic kind of rigid sound, but it kind of suits the beat as well. And you can hear what I'm trying to create, the sound that I'm kind of trying to create. And I'll just kind of show you the kicks and snares, what's in it. So we'll just kind of slide over here. We'll pick a nice little section to talk about, and we'll just open it up. 1 second now. I'll hide the velocities. Open it up. And you could see the kicks and snares there now, or you could just see the kicks there first. And this is just a kick that I have in Ultra Beat, and this is from a pack that I use all the time. Where's the kick drum? And it's kind of a kick in one of the trap kits in Producer's Choice. I kind of use this kick a lot, and you can hear the sound of it on its own. It just kind of really cuts through the mix. I kind of use a lot of my same kits over and over again because because I know them so well, I can mix them quicker. And the quicker I get a beat mixed or to sound the way I want it, the quicker it'll actually get finished and actually get used by someone. So it's kind of funny when you're trying to kind of find sounds, but you still want to find something that's familiar with you that won't hinder the creation process. And you can hear the kick there. It's kind of just a rigid sound. It's very kind of aggressive. When you hear the snares with it, I'll bring in some snares. So these are kind of just light snares with it. And you can see the snare loops there as well. Okay. And we'll just play with this thing. And you can hear the little effects that I'm doing in this now. So it goes like boom, clap, and then it's like the snare or the kick hits are boom, 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 and there's 2 snare hits, and then there's this kind of a half snare hit there. You can hear it. And basically, to create this original kind of drum pattern, or this kind of starting drum pattern, I kind of just created it with the keyboard first, and then added some, kind of just clicked in some snares and kind of played with where they actually sound right in the mix. All I kind of did was just click and move them around to make them fit within the mix. The kicks were kind of just done with the keyboard, and then I quantized them, and then I just kind of added some light snares, and you can see that just the velocities of some snares are changed as well, so that it doesn't sound kind of too rigid as well. And that was just my preference. We'll just find the rest of the instruments now. We'll bring in some more. So I kind of wanted an aggressive snare to kind of echo in the background, and you can hear what 2 sounds that I picked there. 1 second now, I'll just show you the 2 sounds. One second now. You can hear that sound there. It's kind of a reverb snare sound. And a really kind of snappy snare as well. So we'll just kind of go back to that again. You can hear the sound. Okay, and you can hear that sound in it. 1 second now, we'll just press play. And basically, I just wanted that kind of heavy snare every second bar, really. Every second snare hit would be that kind of heavy kind of snare sound. And the reason why I wanted for it, it just kind of it creates more room. It creates a kind of an aggressive hit within the snare sound as well. Because without it, just kind of sounds a bit boring. And it's just adding another effect, really. That's all it really is. It's just giving more stereo feel to the mix. One sec now. And then I added these metallic snares as well. And basically they're just kind of a metallic, very metal sound, metallic sound in the mix. I'll show you what they sound like now. And basically what I wanted these two snares to do is to accentuate the sound with these ones. So you can hear these two together. Basically, it just sounds like a hi-hat, really. I kind of just use them to accentuate the original snares. So when you hear the original snares, it sounds too kind of familiar with the kind of trap kits. And you can hear what's together now. They sound more metallic sound. And then I have some kind of perks coming in as well. And basically to get that perk sound, I kind of just added that perk, that perk hit, 1 second now. I'll show you. I'm going to go to Ultra Beat and find it. 1 sec now. And we'll find it here. And you can hear the sound that's in it. And it's just a perk hit. It's like someone hitting a table or a rim shot, really. And it just kind of added some compression, added some spreader, so I kind of have that wide, very wide stereo field in it, added some compression on it as well. And then I kind of busted out some reverb as well. I'll show you the reverb that I put on him. Just like that. Okay. Now we'll just go to the reverb. And you can hear it's Prince Hall 1, and that's on the bus 2, and then I have snare chamber as well. And you can hear the sounds that they create. I bust both of those out. So to get that, I just added a bus, and then I just added some volume on it as well to whatever bus it went to. It went to this bus here, and it went to that one as well. So I have two different reverbs on them, and then they're just within Space Designer. So I kind of just found it within Space Designer. There's tons of patches within or templates to take from in Space Designer. So I've spaced and I just kind of added whatever the amount of reverb I wanted. As you can see, I've left the reverb at its height, but I've controlled how much reverb with the buses. So the buses have, as you can see, the bottom one is using parallel compression. The second one is really using the kind of reverb, and then that's the top reverb then. And you can see the effect that it creates. So I have a lot of reverb on that snare. And it just, to me, it just adds another effect really in it. That sound in it is a rim shot, really, this one down here. And that one is kind of, has kind of a typical kind of Lex Luger kind of trick that he uses a lot. It's just the sound that's usually in it. And it just kind of adds another effect to the whole mix. And we'll just kind of listen to that with all the instrumentation as well. So it kind of just, we get a, also I have some hats in there as well. I'll just show you those hats. They're 64 note hats. And to create that 64 note hat, I just kind of had one hat, one sound in a hat, and then I kind of just went to note repeat, and then you could change whatever section you want in it. So if I'm holding down a keyboard, it's like no, we'll just find the hat. You can hear it every time I change it, and I just record that kind of sound into it where I see as fit in the mix. and it gives me that kind of sound, that kind of triplet kind of sound with the hi-hats. And I only use it as an effect, really. So we just listen to all that together. Now you can see that I changed it up a little bit here. There's different hats coming in into this section, but I've also dropped off some of the kind of sounds that were in it as well, but I've added two different ones. So one arp was playing there during that section, and then another arp plays in this section, and then they both play in the hook then as well. So it just kind of adds a different variation to this 8 bars. So this 8 bars here is different to that one. And it's kind of, I kind of mentioned before that it's kind of like dance music, where you just kind of change up. You kind of use the same sounds, but you just change up different arps. So like in that section there, this arp was playing, it's like no. And that section there, that arp was playing, and it just kind of kept the song going. And then in the next section, this arp plays the same, it's the same notes, same melody, but it's a different sound. And then again, I've added these hats instead of having no hats as well in the previous one. So in the previous one, I had no hats there, and these hats play now. And they just add a different variation to the mix. And you can see that this open hat is triggered in every kind of, every second or every third hit. There's the open hat comes in, and then the velocities of that normal kind of hat are kind of random velocities. I kind of just move them up and down, or else I played them with the keyboard, whichever, I'm not sure which one I did at the time. And it just gives it a kind of a different kind of feel to the hi-hats, because there was no hi-hats there really. There was only kind of the triplet hi-hat, but I still bring that in every kind of second section of the kind of the riff, and then it just kind of goes straight into the hook then right after that. And the hook, all it is just bringing all the sounds together, all the sounds come in together, and then we have like hats, more hats come in as well. So it just kind of, there's a 30-second hat coming in, and it just kind of makes everything sound a bit faster, and it just kind of changes the mood of the mix. And all the other sounds come in as well at the same time. It's like, now I'll show you what the hooks And you can hear there's actually a lead synth here. There's actually a very quiet lead synth in the background. And I'll just show you what lead I used. This was in Sylenth, and it's just kind of a really piercing lead synth. One sec now. And you can hear the sound, and it's kind of like this 80s synth sound. It's a very 80s kind of weird scent, but it's kind of it's really good to cut through the mix as well. It really kind of, you can hear the way it kind of cuts in the mix. One second, I'll just play it now on its own. And as you can hear, I felt that the track was bleeding into the next bit a bit too much. So you can hear the way it kind of it dumbed down the volume. And to do that, I kind of just went into, you can just hit Command A and it will take you into the volume section of Logic. And you can see that I've created an automation track here where I've kind of just cut the sound because I don't want it to bleed into the verse. I just want it to end when the lead synth ends, so we'll just listen to it. And that's just the way I cut it off. And so that's really it. And I think there's actually two different sounds. They're both playing the same riff. So we'll just go to the riff. Okay. Second now. Okay, that's a better view. And you can see there I actually have some panning on both riffs. One's on 39, one's on 30. It's just to kind of, so they don't, I felt like they were fighting each other in the mix and they were two very similar synths. And I just kind of tinkered with the sounds until I got the sound that I wanted. And you can see that I mixed around with the EQ on the high end because I felt like, okay, my hats are hitting here as well, so I can't boost it too much. But I did want it to cut through the mix, but not kind of take too much away from the mix as well. I added a little bit of sample delay just to kind of make it a little bit kind of echo and doesn't sound dead. And you can see that I've cut a lot here because my hi-hats and stuff are kind of in that section and I don't want it to affect my drums. And I'll just show you that sound in Sylenth. Okay, this is the sound in Sylenth. And you can hear it there. It's kind of very similar to the other sound, that 70s wind sound. And that's hair lead. And together they sound together they sound really good. 1 second now, I'll just play the volume. And just on their own, they kind of sound a bit weak. But together they sound really thick. And they have a nice stereo field with that sample delay as well. That stereo field on the sample delay, and the panning, and maybe some of the reverb that I put on as well on the snares kind of cuts into that as well. And this is just a very light effect in the song. It's not, I didn't want it to be over dominating. I just wanted it in a little section of the song. So you can hear it cuts in here and then it drops out and then it cuts back in again to end the mix in that section of the mix. So we'll just listen to it. 1 second now. And that's really the hook of the song. As you can hear in this section here, in this part of the verse, I kind of just changed it up a little bit. I just cut out all the instrumentation, so it's only really the drums really playing and this and it was just something different that I felt at the time. It was just like something that sounds a bit different. It doesn't sound like the kind of common thing where you expect something else to come back in. And just before I go, I forgot to mention the 808 bass line that's in the chorus. So this is the bass line. So we just go back to the bass line again. 1 second now. Okay, and we're on the bass line. 1 second now. I'll just show you this. I've got the EQ there. I cut a bit on this section here. That's where my kick is hitting through, and this is where my 808 is. And this I cut off a lot of the highs. It's just the sound that I had within Logic, an 808 sound, and I just kind of popped it into the ESX in Logic. I just dragged and dropped it in. It's a kick sound that I have. It's a really aggressive 808 sound. 1 second, now I'll just stop muting. You can hear it's a very aggressive kind of 808 sound. And basically I just pitched it so it kind of it'll play the notes all the way up. It'll play each note all the way up. And that's all it did, really just saved it, and then it's in the EXX, and now it's an instrument in my library, and I can play the notes of the song, and I'll show you the notes. Oh, sorry. So we'll just listen to it now. It's kind of a bland, kind of boring bass line, but it just kind of does its purpose for the song. The drums kind of take the credit in this track compared to the 808, really. And it's basically following my kick drum. So if I just take all this section here, and you might be able to see all of it. 1 second now. I'll hide that. Second now. Okay, we can't find it there. 1 second now. Basically, it's basically copying my kick drum, the notes of the kick drum, really. That's what my 808 is, but it's playing the notes of the song. It's playing the notes of the song, but it's playing them when the kick hits. So when the kick is hitting, this is playing the same notes. So we'll just listen to it. You can see that there now perfectly. Yeah, and that's just really the 808. But altogether, it just adds. That's all the 808 really is doing, is adding the bass element to my song. It's getting a bit loud there. I turn it down. And the song, the beat after that is really the same over and over again after that. It's like intro, verse 1, hook, then this is verse 2, but then it is without kind of instrumentation. It only has an arc there. The verses don't have any 808s. The 808 only comes in on this section and in this second verse. Again, I'm changing the verse up again, so I'm playing the same kind of elements, but I've got hi-hats actually on this and the 808 as well. And this time I've again changed it up again. It's all playing the same stuff, but it's just taking stuff out and just making it sound a little bit different. So this time I've left the 808 in, and I've taken out some other kind of instruments here as well. Taken out the bass suite. Now I've taken out the 808. And then I cut all the sounds there just to let you know that you're going into the hook. And that's really the beat, guys. That's really how I created this beat. It just ends with the kind of... with the instrumentation and some of the perks, really. That's really how I created this this kidding type beat. And it's kind of really the arps in conjunction with the kind of the busyness of the drums that kind of give it that kidding sound. So if you have any questions, guys, or anything I didn't really talk about, don't forget to ask me. I try to explain it as best I can. If I'm leaving something out, please say it in the comments. I don't mind, and it'll just give me something else to show you in the next time. So this is Dan with the Corporate Thief Beats. If you want this beat, don't forget that there's links in the description, or go to thecorporatethiefbeats.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next beat tutorial, guys. Take care.